Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Theater of Football. I am Mike Hodem, and I'm joined once again by Patrick Heinrich. Patrick, hello.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Thanks for having me, Mike.
Always a pleasure. Today we're discussing Monday's United match against Copenhagen, and we'll also look ahead to our match in the semifinal of the Europa League on Sunday against Sevilla. As you could guess, we did win on Monday. We needed extra time and another penalty, but we got through in the end. Patrick, when you watched Monday's game, what were your thoughts? What's your reaction? What's the talking points coming out of there?
Well, I'm happy for the win, so I'll definitely take that. The first half was excruciating to watch a bit at times. And we got, I think, better in the second half. We showed up, I think, a little bit better. And then I think in the extra time, we fortunately had put a fair amount of fresh legs on the field before extra time, and I think that helped us out a little bit. But everyone, as I would expect for playing 120 minutes, starting to get tired. But I thought overall, first half was, defensively, I think pretty rough. I think we also had a fair amount of attacking opportunities that we couldn't capitalize on either. I would love to have seen us score a goal, but I'll definitely take the Fernandez penalty any day.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of agree with you. I felt like we let Copenhagen play in our box too much, especially in the first 30 minutes. And I thought Copenhagen, the times that they had opportunities, they're guilty of maybe overplaying the ball when they should have shot sooner and eventually got closed down. So I think we're a little fortunate there. But the Copenhagen goalkeeper made 13 saves, and I was thinking after the match, I don't remember him making 13 saves. I mean, he made two good saves from Martial,
Yeah.
but I just didn't feel like we had pressured them that much. I don't know. Another thing I thought was kind of funny was Juan Mata comes on to start extra time. You have most of the other players out there who had already played 90 minutes in 30 degrees Celsius heat, and he comes out there with fresh legs, and that's the great equalizer for him and his lack of legs at this point in his career, maybe at any point in his career, as he comes on and made a big impact, especially in that first half of extra time. His
Yeah,
pass.
nothing makes you look better than playing against a bunch of other people that have been playing for 90 minutes in 95-degree heat.
Yeah. Yeah, that is that was a big help for Juan. But credit to him, and I guess credit to Ole to bring him on. I mean, he could have brought on Lingard at that point, but he knew that Mata's better technical ability and the fact that Copenhagen were looking tired at the end of 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Mata would be able to make an impact, and he did. So,
Yeah.
good job, Juan. Always a guy I like. Didn't mean to insult him or anything. Just pointing that out.
Yeah. And I
So
thought Lindelof and Modic were also two really good subs. I thought they came on at great times. I thought they contributed quite a bit to, you know, taking back the pace of the game.
yeah, and we discussed before the match that we thought it would be Romero in goal, and then the same 10 players that faced Leicester, 10 outfield players that faced Leicester, and Ole put in Bai for Lindelof and Fred for Modic. Yeah. So that was a bit of a curveball. I didn't think Bai or Fred necessarily played poorly. They didn't play great either. But, yeah, bringing them in kind of just adds – Modic adds some control in the midfield, and bringing in Lindelof for an already booked Bai was, I think, just a smart move to prevent Baye from getting sent off or, getting another injury or something.
Yeah.
Unfortunate for him. So, yeah, that was good at that point. Kind of get us back in control of the match. But so we did win 1-0, and it was on the back of another penalty. Was that a penalty for you? Martial getting brought down in the box?
Yeah, I think it was a penalty. I think that there wasn't really enough to, overwhelmingly overturn it through VAR. But I think it was a penalty. I think he was brought down in the box, and I get, a lot of the commentary was around, having the evidence to overturn it, but I still would have considered it a penalty. I thought it was a good call. I might be a little biased, but I thought it was a good call.
Yeah, I thought it was a penalty too, and I think if one of our players did that in our own box, I wouldn't. That's always how I look at it: is if this went against us, would I be complaining about it? And I would not.
Yeah.
And it was I believe our 21st penalty awarded on the season in all competitions, which has a lot of people bantering to United supporters about that. Outside, there's only 2 penalties I could think of that I didn't think were penalties. Again, going back to my analogy that if this happens to us, would I be upset? And there was we won 2 penalties at Carrow Road against Norwich, and one of them, I think it was the Dan James one that he got brought down. I didn't think he got fouled. We missed it anyway. We missed both those penalties in that game anyway.
Yeah.
But that was one, and the other one was the one
Sure,
at Villa late in the year when Fernandez was not really. He kind of stepped on the guy.
Yeah.
But those were the only 2 that I can recall that I thought were not penalties, and the rest were. So I think whether we had 21 penalties or 19, you have the same narrative about us winning penalties.
Well, penalties are such a tricky thing because it's not like you can control. I mean, you can draw a penalty, sure. There's definitely a skill and an art in doing that, and I think that's part of playing the game anyway. So drawing the penalty is one thing, but I think penalties are sometimes just, it's such a random occurrence that it's not like we're out there and our strategy is to, get penalties in front of the box and get penalty kicks. I mean, it would be crazy to think about creating an entire strategy around that one thing. So I think the fact that we have so many is drawing a lot of attention to the fact. But I wouldn't say it's like, I heartily disagree with anybody who says, oh, well, you're just benefiting off of the penalties. It's like, well, who isn't? But it's not like we can control the fact that we're getting them to begin with.
Yeah, well, you bring up an interesting point that you don't necessarily set up a strategy to win penalties. But people ask, I've seen the question asked, like, why haven't City won as many penalties? And the fact is that City, their style of play is quick passing. So they get the ball in the box, they move it quickly. The fact is defenders can't even get close to any players because they move in the ball so quickly.
Right.
Us, you have Rashford and Martial or Greenwood, sometimes Bruno, just driving into the box,
right,
making runs, and they're not. It's not quick passes. So you have when you're dribbling with the ball, you're going to have defenders who have to eventually make a challenge.
Yeah,
and it's up to that defender to get the challenge right or not. And 21. My opinion, 19 times this season they've gotten them wrong. So
yeah,
probably not 19. I think some of them, a handful of them were handled in the box, but that's neither here nor there. That's really why you get these penalties, I think.
We really rely on our team, for a good, Martial's good for a good 5 to 10 yards in front of the goal to get it out, get it in there. So Greenwood and Rashford and Fernandez too. So I definitely agree with that. That's really, that's a really smart call out.
Yeah. And Yeah, that's my take on it. That's why we've won so many penalties this year, and
Yeah.
why like a team like City, who finished well above us in the league table and won the Carabao Cup this season, why they didn't have as many penalties as us. That's just their style of play, and a lot of people prefer their style of play.
Hmm.
I'm not going to get into that debate at all, but I think their style of play doesn't necessarily lend itself to uh, possessing the ball, if you will, in the box. But
Right.
um, I want to move on and look at this. It's a mouth-watering semifinal tie, in my opinion. United playing Sevilla. A little over 2 years ago, we played Sevilla in a Champions League round of 16 matchup. The first leg finished 0-0 in Spain, and the second leg finished 2-1 to Sevilla on a legendary European night at Old Trafford, I must say. Wissam Ben Yedder came on in the 72nd minute and promptly scored 2 minutes thereafter, then promptly scored a second 4 minutes after that. Lukaku was able to get a consolation goal late on, but it was not a good night for us. And Patrick, I want to read to you our starting 11 from that match. You have David De Gea, Antonio Valencia, Eric Bailly, Chris Smalling, Ashley Young, Marouane Fellaini, Nemanja Matic, Marcus Rashford, Jesse Lingard, Alexis Sanchez, and Romelu Lukaku. Of those 11 players, what, 4 aren't with the club anymore?
Yep.
No, 5.
5.
Valencia, Young, Fellaini, Sanchez, and Lukaku. 5. And then, Chris Smalling spent the season on loan like Sanchez. Sanchez's loan move was just made permanent last
Yep.
week. So Smalling could very well be out the door himself. Lingard could very well be out the door himself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's crazy to think that was our starting 11 just 2 years ago, and how many of those players have been shifted on. But looking at that, and that could really be. I mean, you could argue that just us signing Alexis Sanchez was kind of the turning point for Mourinho's fate at Manchester United.
Yeah.
But this could be a really significant moment for Ole, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great opportunity to rebuke a past result through, essentially what is bringing out a bunch of youngsters, basically, bringing on a lot of youngsters and Williams and Greenwood and giving them play, and then the having Bruno and it could be a very clear rebuke to Ole's. To rebuke to Mourinho's management style and really showcase Ole's.
Yeah, and when we've played in big matches under Ole, he seems most comfortable having us sit back and hit teams on the break. And it's worked very well. It's worked against City. It's worked against Chelsea. It worked against Liverpool in our first matchup. In my opinion. But is this a game where he needs to set us out to dominate, go out there, play with the ball, dominate possession, create chances that way instead of having us sit back, stay compact, stay organized? I don't want to say park the bus, but, just sit back and then let Martial and Rashford and Bruno, Greenwood hit them on the break.
Yeah, one thing that I was thinking about at the beginning of the Copenhagen game, and was, really kind of made more important to me when I was watching the highlights from the Inter Milan Leverkusen game is we against teams like Sevilla and against Inter, we can't play like full defensive football. I think we have to attack. Like we have to be an attacking team. And I think we hear a lot. I've heard a lot from Ole recently about how United is goal and or in his way of saying about it, we're already doing is playing high press football, and I think that's what we need to be doing. I don't think we can like the defensive, arguably a few of the defensive opportunities that we gave up in the game against Copenhagen would have easily been goals for a Sevilla or an Inter, and we can't we can't take that style of play because I'm afraid that we'll get there'll be too many easy old goal opportunities for a highly polished squad like Sevilla or Inter to put goals into the back of the net. I think that we need to play for a high possession, and we need to play high press and attack. Otherwise, I think it's going to be a very poor result for us.
Yeah, that's interesting because you're right. You're absolutely right. What we were saying before in the Copenhagen match, the chances they created, they just. I said they're guilty of overplaying. Maybe at the end of the day, they just didn't know what to do with it. They were gun shy. But yeah, you look at the teams that are left in the competition, and you could probably throw Shakhtar in the mix too. They're
Right.
more accomplished, better professionals. So if we give these types of opportunities to them, we play out from the back, sloppy, and turn it over, or we invite them onto us. I think we could be in trouble.
Yeah. Or don't push and run back on the counterattacks. That's also something that we've really been struggling with lately.
Yeah. We need to make sure when we do turn it over that we press to win it back, but make sure we get numbers back in position to close off any attacks. But yeah, I really think that Ole, if he wants that, this is a key moment in his reign where he could really against. You're not playing Barcelona. I understand that. You're not playing Real Madrid. I understand that. You're not even playing Atletico. Fine. But Sevilla has won this competition 5 times. They play a really good brand of football. And we have that banana skin result hanging over our heads from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And this is a chance for us to put it right. And I don't think sitting back and playing on the break and maybe winning 1-0 that way is exactly putting it right, or is it Ole sending the message of the type of football that he has promised that we would play, like you were saying, the high pressing, high tempo passing game, whatever he calls it.
Yeah.
I don't think sitting deep and hitting teams on the break is what he wants, and I think he could be successful with that, but in this game, or if we make it to the final and the final 2, but I don't think that's what we want to see, and I don't think that's necessarily sending the right message yet, especially since we've yet to make any waves in the transfer market, have we?
No. Much to our displeasure.
Yeah, I do want to just close on that, if you will. I read a report today on Twitter, and I tend to rubbish anything on Twitter outside of maybe the 1 or 2 sources. But this particular source, I can't remember what it is, and I apologize for that. But I was reading that United are holding off on purchasing any players or selling any players and by selling any players, I mean the players that are currently in the bubble or in the squad training there for the Europa League in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to. They see both of those as upsetting the squad potentially as we try to win a trophy there. Patrick, 2 questions. First of all, first of all, do you rubbish this report? And secondly, if you don't, and you think there could be some credence to it, do you think it's wise?
Well, I will answer those in the reverse order. I don't think it's wise. I think that you know, taking advantage of the transfer window as early as possible is an advantage. And we see a lot of other clubs that are acting very quickly. So I think it would be unwise to wait. And but I do also see, perhaps a little bit of truth to that report, as I could see the thought process of waiting until the end of this competition to start looking at transfers. But again, I don't think it's a wise one.
No, no, I don't think it's wise either. When you look at City, signed 2 players already. Liverpool went to Greece to find their left back depth, and so you have other team. Chelsea already signed 2 players, 2 big names, quality players a while back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're falling behind. The longer you wait, the harder I think it is for you to get your targets, whether it be they move to another club or the club they're currently with just is more reluctant to sell as we get closer to the start of each country's individual seasons this
Right.
year. So,
Right.
I think maybe the report was made to try and just relax some United fans. I think we're all frustrated that we haven't brought in any players yet, and maybe somebody from the club leaked this out, like, "Oh, we're not actively trying to do anything until after the Europa League." But the stage is already set for next year. It was set as soon as we beat Leicester on the last day of the Premier League, and at that point, we should have already had a plan a plan A, a plan B, and plan A is if we win the Champions League. Oh, that'd be great. Is if we qualify for the Champions League, and this is how we go about attacking the transfer market. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting report, and I hope it's not true, and we get some news on some transfers that are starting to come along. I do see the benefit of not wanting to sell any players that are currently training with the club in Germany, though.
Yeah.
That might, even if the player might not play, I think it could create an upsetting situation for the players that are there. Don't you think?
Yeah. I think you don't want to impact anything if you don't have to. So
Yeah.
But I also think, to your point, I think that, and what you said kind of makes sense on it being kind of a explanation to the fans on why they're not making any transfers, because if you look at the list of excuses, we're currently in a competition and can't think about it right now is like high on the list of what I would say if I was trying to make an excuse for something. So that definitely jives with me.
I mean, the fact is, if we make it to the final, the final will be on August 21st, and then the Premier League, the schedule hasn't been set yet, but it was announced that it's supposed to kick off on September 12th, I believe.
Yeah.
And in between there's supposed to be an international break. Some international games are supposed to try and take place. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that basically gives you if you're looking at international players, that kind of gives you like 1 week to get that taken care of, doesn't it?
Yeah, no kidding. Ed better have the specifics and hammered down of what Ole can pull the trigger on if that's the case.
I won't hold my breath.
Yeah.
But the curtain is now closing on the theater of football. Thank you all for watching or listening on our podcast. For Patrick, I'm Mike. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the semifinal match on Sunday.
Cheers, everyone.
Oh, hello. Thank you for watching the Theater of Football. If you think Mike got it wrong yet again, please leave your thoughts in the comment section below.